Hello and welcome to this episode of The Heart of the Matter. I'm Adeolu Adefarasin and I'm here with
Omotaya.
And we are both here with Doubara Abolarin, and she is the CEO and founder of Zivanora. And Zivanora is an awesome company. I love the idea that it's a creative company because you are in jewelry, and I think that is a beautiful thing, and also that you're in business. You have you were one of the guest panelists at the Do It Afraid conference, and that is what we're here for. We're here to understand your Do It Afraid story, how Zivanora came to be. So please tell me where the idea came from.
Okay, Zivanora kind of like evolved or happened over like different events over like years. So basically, my whole life into jewelry started a couple years back, actually when I was in college. And I mean, at that time, I wasn't thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to build this company and call it Zivanora. No, it was just one event after that one event after one event that kind of led to what Zivanora is today. So I started into jewelry when I started college, and I kind of, will I say, stumbled into it. It wasn't like the plan, like the life plan. Okay,
what did you study?
I'm going to grow up and be a jewelry designer. No. I studied computer science, actually, and that was my love, and I still love it till today. It's just not my primary, will I say, path at the moment. Yeah. So, I mean, I was studying computer science at that time. And then I remember I was home for summer break, one summer holiday. I came home. It was my first break, actually, first semester of school. So I came home, and then it was a long break, but then I didn't really have anything to do. I was just at home, and I didn't like do internships or any of those things. So I was just at home, just counting the days, waiting for time to go by for school to start again. And in between that time frame, I started getting really restless because I was just idle, And then one day my mom called me, and she called me to her room, and we sat on the floor. And then she taught me how to make a necklace from pearls, like faux pearls. We were on the floor. And for me, at that point, the necklace was like a full-on proper necklace. It wasn't like a necklace with elastic that I would just, put on and, or like tie it and glue it. It was like a necklace with a clasp, everything like neatly done, neatly finished and all that. And then when we finished, I was just like, wait, what just happened? Like,
wait, did you know that your mom made jewelry?
Well, she didn't make jewelry per se. She used to be a fashion designer. She made clothes. So my mom is like a very hands-on, crafty kind of person. Like, she sees something and then like she knows how to get it done. Baking, making clothes, all those things. Like, she's very, very artistic in that manner. So making a necklace at that point, it was just, I mean, she's the kind of person that can like see something, like turn a button into a ring. Yeah, like she just take it apart and all those kinds of things. Yeah, so she taught me how to make that necklace at that point. And that was where everything in my mind, in my life kind of shifted. At that point, I didn't realize how much it had shifted, but that shift happened at that point. So I just got really like engrossed into the whole jewelry thing because it was fun, You make this little bracelet for yourself and like nobody has. And then, so I started making stuff. So I'll make like bracelet for my friends. I took them to school, and then it just grew one step at a time all the way through like final year and all of that. Even at school at that time, whenever I came home for holidays, I remember one time she took me to Balogun. So we went, I bought like already made necklaces or pieces, So some of them I sold them as they were, like I basically just resold them. Some of them I took apart and then, reconstructed and then tried to sell it to my friends. Some of them I kept for myself, And that was how the whole like businessy side of the whole thing started. But for me, it was just a time for me to, would I say, be in a different world altogether. It was a different experience. It was fun. For me, I got really inquisitive as time went on. Okay, what can I make? What can I make? What can I make? Or I see something on somebody, and I'm like deconstructing on the person, and then the person thinks I'm staring at them, but it's like, no, I'm not really staring at you.
It's like it's your necklace.
I'm just looking at your jewelry, So that was how it kind of happened over time, and then. When I was in school too, I went to one of the local markets. I got a friend to take me to one of the local markets, buying glass beads, buying plastic beads, all sorts of things, buying some tools, putting things together, trying to sell them. And that was where I also started trying to learn about business and learn about things like pricing, and all of that good stuff. So I just kept doing it on the side as I was doing my whole computer science program.
Do you think your mom knew what she was doing, was subtly trying to get you into something she thought you'd enjoy?
No, I don't think it was like a plan. Okay, this girl.
I need to do something this summer.
Yeah, I think it was just one of those this child,
okay, just sitting at home.
Exactly, let's do this. And then we just sat there. It was just like a moment for us.
Yeah.
Till today, sometimes she comes to my studio and she's like, you should do this. You should do this that way, and all of that. But yeah, she's always been yeah,
it's so interesting because as you were saying that, I'm just thinking to myself, did you ever bake with her or make clothes, or did you ever do any of that?
The baking, yes. The clothes thing, I guess my mind just didn't accept it.
Right.
But the baking, yes, I actually enjoy baking. Not on a professional level, more home kind of. So Christmas, I'll bake for friends. When I have people over, or just randomly one afternoon, I just bake something for my house and all of that.
So you kind of had that same.
Yeah.
But then, so how did you end up deciding to study computer science?
Well, the computer science was always there because when we were growing up, I think this was maybe sometime in secondary school or something. My dad got a computer at home. So that's where it started, just playing around, realizing that you can reverse engineer certain things, or you open a software, you realize, oh my God, this software can do this, and you feel like you're some expert at some point. So that's when the whole love of computer science started. And then I was like, okay, I think I want to study computer science. And so that was where that came from.
Yeah, because I find that just from your story, computer science and then arts and crafts, it actually reminds me a lot of my parents. My dad is an engineer. My mom, she also baked, balloon, clothes, everything. And most people, I think, feel like they have to be constrained to one thing. You have to have always wanted to be creative, or you have to have always wanted to be a science student or whatever. But I like the fact that your story kind of mixes them up.
On that note, it kind of makes me want to just ask this, because I talked about, the idea of being a creative and what you're doing. It's a creative business, but it is a business. And you said you had to learn about the pricing side and the business side. So how have you managed to carry those two things? Because people often, if people are in the creative industry, they're not really thinking about the business side. And then you have people running into issues on running a business because you think too much as just a creative.
I would say I had to learn. I'm the kind of person where, or let me say, from my past experiences of trying to sell to my friends and all of that, in between, I try to look up, okay, how am I supposed to do this? Because, there was really nobody, teaching me, okay, this is how you do. I was in the science line. I wasn't attending business classes or anything. But I knew that, okay, anybody that wants to build a successful business has to know about business. So, okay, where do I go find out about this business of a thing? So that's how, trying to learn, okay, am I even doing this right? I don't want to do this and not do it well and all of that. So it was just little by little at every step of the way, trying to find out, okay, how do I price? How do I add this up? What am I supposed to do? Learning about pricing and all of those things, building a brand, building a business. So it's always something I've done every step of the way, going through business, trying to learn how to run a good business, how to position yourself.
How did you have to take courses online or
Yeah.
Everything is on Google.
Honestly. So basically just going online, looking stuff up, how do I get this done? And I used to visit a lot of jewelry style websites. And then some of them will talk about the business angle of jewelry, and how to run a jewelry business. And they will talk about your customers, designing, all sorts of things related to business. So I would also look up things like that, as well as looking up learning different techniques when it comes to jewelry making.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. So I know that you have this whole faith element to your story. And I know that we're going to have to go on a break soon, but can you let us know where does the faith come in? Because I know that you have a huge data face, so we haven't even touched it. But I know that you had to overcome certain things to be able to get here. And you've been in business for how long now?
Well, Zivanora has been running since about 2017, so not that long when you think about it. But I mean, the faith thing, I guess the faith thing really started from like the time I had to decide that I wanted to like go into jewelry full time, you know, because it was scary. Like he was saying, like, how do you mix like science and then you're now switching to arts and crafts, and that was like a major struggle at some point too. Because, I mean, on my mind was like, okay, computer science, you know, go be a software engineer, and all. I mean, I did that for a little bit too, but, you know, and then it's like, okay, you're on this track, you know, this is like a good career path, you know, it's a path that I feel, I mean, look at the way the world is going. It's going to be #1 for a while, you know. So it's like, how do you now make that tangent to something that doesn't seem, you know, so out there. So that was a struggle of, okay, first of all, personally accepting that I'm going to make this switch, and then two, like the worries about what will other people say, what will other people think. You know, it's like, how do you go from this to that? And also the another worry of that, who am I disappointing, like my family, you know, all the people that I know, like what's the perception and all of that. So there was all of that struggle. And then also for me, at some point, it felt like I was starting my life over again. You know, it's like, how do I go to school, spend all these years studying this, getting a master's, doing all that, and then you now have the, oh my God, you're like whatever age,
and then,
you know. So it was that struggle, and for me, I just made that decision at some point that, okay, you love this thing so much, and it seems like this is where you should go. I mean, prayed about it and all of that. Okay, God, this is the right. Am I doing the right, or am I just in my head about this whole jewelry and taking it too far? Like, is it just supposed to be like stay a hobby kind of thing? Yeah. So once I just got that feeling, like that piece of, okay, you can go ahead with this part. It was now like accepting that I need to just go ahead and do this thing in faith. So, and then, I mean, after I made that whole decision, after struggling in my mind and everything, and deciding to go back to school, you know, to go study jewelry, at some point I realized that I can actually combine these two things. And for me, that was so exciting. I was like, yes! You know, so I ended up going back after my, so I went to 2 schools for jewelry.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So I spent like a year and a couple of months with my first like actual jewelry program. Okay. So that was where I actually learned metalsmithing, like how to make jewelry, metal, not just beads and all of that. Okay. Learning how to design, the creative process, all of that. Learning also more about business. So during my program, I learned more about business, like, you know, the branding part, your financials, things like that. Learning about like the history of jewelry. So it was like an actual program, like an actual study into the whole industry as a whole.
Industry. You know, the thing is, we're loving this so much, but we have to take a quick break. So when we come back, we'll pick up exactly where we left off.
Sure.
All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
My brother is an addict. He dropped out of school in 2015, and all he does is eat, smoke weed, and drink alcohol. He gets violent and would destroy stuff just to get his way. He's been in and out of rehab 4 times, and my parents think it's some kind of spiritual force that needs to be prayed away. I'm afraid for their lives and for my brothers. Please help.
Family life is very important to me because I see the family as being at the center of God's redemptive plan for mankind. Every community has the family as its basic unit. It's the building block of any society.
Family life is a topic which hardly gets the attention it requires. For me, it addresses a lot of things we don't usually talk about.
So I bring this episode of Family Life every week, talking about one segment or the other of family life. We talk about marriage. How do you make marriages better? We talk about parenting. How do you deal with tough, difficult children? We talk about things like divorce, childlessness. We talk about adoption. We talk about a whole variety of things on Family Life with Wale Adefarasi.
I love the fresh perspectives that Pastor Wale gives while still focusing on biblical principles. I believe that if people know better, they will do better.
And so it's important that we give family life the prime of place and the prime of attention. At the moment, we are reaching 8 states of the Federation, and our goal is to be able to reach all 36 states. And so we're looking for partners that will join hands with us, support us in getting this out. Remember, as you join to support or to partner with us in making sure we're able to expand this program beyond our present reach, you are doing something for your nation.
Hello and welcome back to the Heart of the Matter. I'm still here with Omotayo and of course Doubara, and we were having a conversation. You were telling us about mixing tech with jewelry design.
Yeah.
Please elaborate.
Okay. Well, what I was trying to get at was at that point I had found out that okay, my jewelry doesn't just have to stay jewelry. I can actually combine both parts of my life and still not 100% forfeit my computer science background, but bring it into jewelry. And I found out I could do that through 3D design and 3D printing.
Right.
So I went and also studied more on that. So designing jewelry, with a 3D software, getting my jewelry made via 3D methods, and then continuing through the production process for jewelry. So instead of sitting at the bench and literally something we call wax carving. So aside from working directly in metal, we have a kind of we call it jeweler's wax. And then you can actually carve it like the way somebody would carve marble or stones or things like that. Yeah. And then, so imagine candle wax, but not quite the same.
Right.
So you sit and actually carve out jewelry out of that kind of wax.
Oh.
Yeah. So
What does it help you do?
It helps you create certain designs that are difficult to do directly by hand. So you see certain designs and you're like, for example, you see a ring that's like a tiger, like a lion's head. Yeah, you probably do that via wax carving. So basically, because the wax is easier to work with than working directly with metal. So you just sit and actually carve out the shape of a lion or the shape of a tiger or whatever. Yeah. So the 3D parts kind of speeds up that process. So you design all of that on the computer and you print it out with a 3D printer
So
you would
do you
print.
have a 3D printer?
I don't have one personally
Those
right
things
now.
are so cool.
Yeah, they are. It's on my wish list, my God list. It's on my wish list. But yeah, I have the training background in that. Even if I don't have my printer, I still design certain things and just keep it on the back burner for the day. It's gonna meet daylight. Yeah. So that was exciting to know that I could merge the two of them together and not forfeit. And also, because of my background, it was easy for me to do certain things in the beginning. For example, I designed my logo myself. Doing certain things like building my website. What else was I able to do? Managing when certain things like editing the site on the back end, managing databases, connecting apps and all sorts of things. So it just comes naturally to me because I have that experience, from my computer science days. So it's like, okay, best of both worlds. You know?
I love it.
That's pretty cool. And that's got to be good in terms of business, in terms of, oh, I'm saving money. I'm not paying this guy 3 times what it should cost because because they can do it and I can't.
Yeah, because you can actually do it. I was going to ask,
Exactly.
you know, because like when you talk about the business side, like you said, you Google to find out. But what I'm finding is that like a lot of businesses actually don't, it's hard to scale, especially when it's a craft. So you have to do each one. How do you automate? Do you have to find technology for it? You have to hire people. But then if it's handcrafted, no 2 people can handcraft the handcrafted piece the same way. So how do you scale, or how do you plan to scale?
Okay, well, the scaling part, like you mentioned, getting extra hands, because that's like, it's one of the aspects, you know, trying to keep things handcrafted, and at the same time, there's this like dream, or will I say vision of, you know, empowering other people in our industry, because the jewelry industry on a global scale is like very big.
Yeah.
And in Nigeria, we have practically everything that we need to have an empowering industry, like other places like Asia, you know, or like the UK or the States or wherever, you know. We have all the metals, we have the good stones, you know. So it's, so what it is that, you know, empowering other people to get into this industry to also empower themselves. You know, there are people like on the mining level, you know, getting those people to like even understand the value of what they are mining, you know, and then getting artisans. Some people are really good with their hands, you know, getting them to do this work there. Because sometimes, like in my research, I see videos from people from other parts of Africa, and the things they're making with their hands, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like this guy doesn't even have half of the fancy tools, you know, that we use and we have, and he can still make, you know, something of this level. It might not be like your 100% well finished kind of piece, but that kind of person just needs a little bit of training to let him know that, okay, when you file, you know, make sure you file all the way to this grit so that it has like a really nice finish and something that's like store quality kind of piece. Yeah, so the scaling part is, you know, getting more people and empowering people so that we can get more out. For now,
That's funny because one thing you said was, okay, so if you are doing it by hand, people might not craft exactly the same. And to be honest, even the same person might not craft exactly the same. But there's a uniqueness to that as well that it adds, in that, okay, these pieces are similar and the design is relatively the same, but you get to know that the piece you have, no one has the exact same thing.
Yes.
And that gets to be like a whole, I guess, sales tool or whatever.
Yeah.
How did you decide, like, I know when coming up with your business model, because obviously you start with, like, I'm very interested in creative people and how they do business, because I know it's really tough. And I know it's one thing to literally, like you said, produce the pieces, but it's another thing to like pay rent and then diesel and all of that stuff. But at the same time, the choice to do unique handcrafted pieces is a choice that someone makes. How did you arrive at that choice? Why didn't you just say, oh, you know what, I love jewelry and I love tech. Why don't we just find a way to automate it, get a factory? Do you know what I mean? How did you make that decision?
For me personally, I actually enjoyed the making process. Like actually sitting there and getting the work done. And I mean, in as much as definitely at some point you need like extra hands to move the business forward. And I mean, also at the point where I decided to actually start making jewelry, like that's point in my life, I felt that I didn't want something that was going to be too large. You know, I think I like that personal touch on some level. You know, not that, okay, it's just something hanging somewhere for everyone, or, you know, it's that, okay, it's this business, this, would I say, small to mid-size, or, you know, mid-size, you know, brand that we know that, okay, if you're wearing this brand, then that was intentional. It's not something you just picked up somewhere, you know,
From everything you're saying, it's just, for me, I just keep, like, I can relate so much. And one of the things I'm getting away is, like, from what you're saying is, people say this thing, it sounds like a cliche, but you literally will regret not trying. And I think one of the things that cripples us so much is the fear of failure. But it's like, I feel like having lived a tiny bit, I feel like I regret more the things I didn't try as opposed to, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm still not at a place where it's perfect, but the things I tried, at least I could say, oh, I tried doing that and then it didn't work. Fine. It's not a burden that I get to keep carrying. But that thing about, regardless of how afraid you are, just
and I think one thing I can quickly add is, like, that maybe even added to the whole fear and concern was that, like I said, like, I'd been trying to do the business thing even through college, and it wasn't like the most successful thing at that point, because the name would probably be very different by now, and you know, I might not even be doing like metal work by now. But I mean, at that point, you know, like the little things I could gather from business, I knew that, well, definitely I'm not really making that much of a profit the way I'm selling these things, you know. And then I tried it twice and it didn't quite work out. So at this third time, and I'm like, am I sure I'm cut out for this business of a thing? Like, you know, the way it sounds, like sometimes business is for some people. You know, they have a business mind. You know, they're going to get an MBA, you know, and all of that. And I didn't think that I was that kind of person that had a business. Like, my mind is, from the science thing, very logical. It's either 1 or 0, you know? So it's like forming that and then giving myself another chance to actually get this done, and then going out there to like study and all of that. So I just made that. Honestly, I feel like for anybody that is listening, just make that decision. Because you're either going to regret it, and that pain is going to be worse than any other pain that you probably experience actually doing that thing.
And people say, so one thing that I'm getting is really that the only pathway to success is failure. You have to, like, there's so many people, if you go and you look at speakers, people who are successful, they'll tell you that if you're afraid of failure, that's the only thing that'll keep you away from success. You have to be ready to fail, and fail hard, fail big, be able to say that I tried, I did it, through whatever uncertainty. You know, one thing that I'm learning personally about myself and that I've had to be able to navigate is that the longer I procrastinate, the less likely something is to ever happen.
And the time is going to go anyways.
It's better to just start imperfect. Start imperfect and then perfect it on the way. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. The episode has gone by so quickly. But for people who want to reach out to you, want to find out more, and want to get their Zivanora Jewelry, how'd they contact you? Okay, so you can reach me at Zivanora on Instagram and Twitter. Our website is www.zivanora.com. And on our website I have, you know, email and other contact details on Instagram at Zivanora, Twitter at Zivanora. Awesome, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to buying at Zivanora Jewelry for people. Thank you very much for joining us today on The Heart of the Matter. Please make sure that you follow us on social media at HOTMTV on Instagram and Facebook, and on YouTube at HOTM channel. Thank you. God bless. We'll see you next week.